Hello, everyone. My name is Thomas Smith. I'm the head of business development at Netcapital. Let's give everyone a few moments here to get settled in.
So where are you based out of, man? Where are you at right now, location wise?
We're just north of Boston, but we're all remote. So
Right. Yep. Same as in remote. I'm out here in LA. We got Harry over in Texas.
wonderful. Well, looks
Yeah.
like everyone's coming in. So just going to run through a few things here for everyone that has joined. Before I get started, I just want to touch base on a few housekeeping items. As all of our companies that we host in these webinars, PennyFly Entertainment is actively fundraising on Netcapital right now. You can invest in PennyFly Entertainment by visiting netcapital.com and searching PennyFly if you are interested in investing. And for those that are on live, I will drop their link in the chat very shortly. Next, I want to mention that we do want this webinar to be as interactive as possible. So please, when asking questions, use the Q&A function, not the chat, but the Q&A to send your questions when it is time, and we'll be answering as many of them as we can. Now, I know there are a lot of investors joining us now that have previously invested in PennyFly, as well as those who have not yet invested. We'll do our best to cover both sides of the aisle. So with that being said, it's my absolute pleasure to introduce Tyler Prescott, founder and CEO of PennyFly Entertainment, and Harry Malinsky, Director of Technology. Gentlemen, how are you today?
Doing fantastic. Doing fantastic. How have you been?
Things are great. So I'm just going to put the investment link in the offering right now. And with that being said, gentlemen, just give me a brief overview on the company for those who are listening now and those who will be listening in the future.
Yeah, my pleasure. So PennyFly is a 21st century record label and entertainment company. We have a big emphasis on Web3 projects. We've demonstrated expertise really in multiple entertainment sectors, particularly the music industry, and have been really doubling down, especially recently and in the past year, on several blockchain and NFT-driven initiatives. So really, as an independent by artist for artist platform, we maintain a simple 50-50 profit split with artists that we have full signing agreements with. There's a lot of flexibility on our deal terms, and we have very unique and critical access to music industry channels that are normally reserved to just the major labels. So that allows us to offer services that an artist can typically expect from a major label deal through us. However, the artist is given significantly greater profit opportunity and control over their career. So just to keep it simple, our mission is just putting rights, revenues, and freedoms back into the hands of artists and creators everywhere.
Really interesting, guys. And without getting too deep into it, I did live in Los Angeles for a couple of years and was in the entertainment space. So not like you guys are, but had friends that were artists. So I understand. I think we can all relate with how the music industry is kind of transformed. And really the one left behind is the artist, right? So I think it's really admirable what you guys are doing. And right, Harry. So Tyler, can you just get a little bit more granular on just giving a couple examples of what you're doing for the artist, where that might be different than a couple other of the labels that are in your space, that are not major?
Yeah, absolutely. So a big part of it, which when we get into kind of our business model in general, just the way that we're set up is much more artist facing. So to kind of break that down, one example is, just really our label services model. So label services essentially means that an artist can come to us no matter what stage they're at in their career, whatever resources they may have or not have. we're open to the conversation and we want to help them. So if they only have let's say they only need like some PR services or some Spotify promotion, or maybe it's, 2 or 3 things that they need, and they're not really looking for an all-encompassing deal across the board. They may have certain things already handled and they just need to fill some other gaps. You can't go into a typical label, indie or major, to be honest, and do that kind of thing as an artist. The way that traditional structure is the labels are only really interested in what they can control and have most of the profit percentage from. It's usually 85% and then 15 back to the artists, and the artist has no real control over what's put out, what music makes the cut, creative freedom, and everybody knows about that. So that's really one of the biggest things, is us just being kind of a one-stop shop for whatever artists need, and they don't have to sell their soul or sign everything away to get that. And I've heard the story many times, frankly, of you have let's say you have these 2 parents that have maybe a talented son or daughter, whether the talent's there or not, it doesn't really matter, but they'll walk into let's say Columbia and say, hey, I got 300 grand, can I pay your team? And they try and force a deal because they have money and they just want to make their kid a star. Well, the label laughs them out the door because they're really not interested, again, in anything that they don't have full control over and making most of the money from. So even if you try to buy your way in, it's really not an industry that you can necessarily buy your way into. It does require a lot of unique relationships, and if you don't have the right team, even if you do have a super talented artist, and I've seen this too, I've seen really talented artists out there that are getting bankrolled by either their parents or an investor, and it's so easy to waste the money because they don't really understand the formulas of how to really break an artist out there. And it's a lot deeper than just shotgunning ads at someone, for example. So I would really, I pride ourselves on the label services model quite a bit. And then, the other element just being on the Web3 and NFT side, which the major labels are definitely starting to show some interest and kind of testing the waters here, of course, because it's such a big, fad, if you will. But the NFT community, and Harry and I can speak to this, having just been into crypto for years now, and we're just kind of familiar with what projects succeed and why. And the thing is like the whole real attraction in the crypto community about all of this is decentralization. It's removing middlemen. It's taking power away from the regimes, if you will. And so it's when a major label comes out with a bunch of NFTs, just in the same way major AAA gaming companies are starting to drip out some NFTs, it's kind of a turnoff. It's not really working because it's coming from too centralized and too large of a source, and it defeats the purpose a little bit. At least that's kind of the community sentiment. So that's something that we're really trying to intentionally have more of a grassroots and organic build up there. So yeah, really, as you say, to get more granular with it, the label services model and then the Web3 NFT side is really what we feel is offering more to artists in a unique way that they can't really get elsewhere in the same capacity.
I think it's fascinating what you guys are doing, and also great, and it gives a lot of people hope, right? That are, at the level where you are hopefully touching these artists. And if they want to stay with a company like PennyFly, great. If they want to go to the majors, but I just think it's admirable that PennyFly Entertainment is trying to transform that, which is great. So, okay,
appreciate that, man.
No, and I mean it. It's well overdue, but happy you guys are here, right? But okay, so understanding the mission now, going on your site, knowing you guys, folks visit the offering page, your team, pretty robust. Can you talk about the team and what makes PennyFly Entertainment so special?
Yeah, I'd love to. So really what makes our team powerful and impactful is just simply put, I mean, it's their proven experience doing what they've all done best for their entire careers directly for the major labels, for some of the biggest artists on the planet. So, the people that we work with in PR, all sorts of marketing, everything from digital marketing, tour promotion, really across the board. We're using the same service providers that used to be exclusive to the major labels. So, I mean, really the key to building this company up started with relationships, and it took years. I mean, it was not an overnight thing. But I'm proud to say that we really do now have an extensive, amazing team that spans from specialties in developing newer artists in certain genres to pushing projects involving household name celebrity artists. So yeah, that's really, kind of the short version, and I think that encapsulates what our team represents pretty well. Just for me, just personally, as far as my background, because that's played a unique role in kind of how this company's been formed, and why I think we're seeing some success here. So really, my journey here started, if we rewind about getting old, man, about 9 years ago. Graduated from Penn State over on the East Coast. I was born and raised in Pennsylvania. And I was actually in the first graduating class for their cybersecurity degree. So all of the curriculum actually was provided by the NSA. So just as a result, like from graduating with that degree, I was given a certification that I could just go work for the NSA, ironically, like in the analyst kind of position. And the same thing Edward Snowden was doing, really. So and this was a while ago. So it's, obviously things have changed, but really, long story short on that segment, I was very grateful that Penn State was linking me up with some really cool seminars where I could go meet with, FBI, CIA, NSA agents and kind of, pick their brains about the lifestyle, what exactly is involved in all of this, what am I signing up for? And at the end of all that, I was like, yeah, I don't know if I want to do this. So I was just really kind of reconsidering paths forward. Obviously, I could take my expertise there and go work for whatever company, penetration testing. I was doing kind of like counter hacking sort of stuff. And I've always been a huge computer nerd, so I've always enjoyed that stuff. But at the same time I was getting my education and finishing that, I was really active as a singer-songwriter, as an artist myself. So what happened is around the same time I was kind of figuring out, what are my next steps after graduating, things really started taking off for me as an artist. And it really even kind of surprised me because, having just finished college, I didn't have like any sort of resources really to market myself properly. So I started seeing a lot of organic success there, just building up a following, putting out my first professional EP at the time. And then Music Connection magazine, which is really considered kind of like number 2 as far as industry clout, next to like Rolling Stone being number 1, who I now write for, which is incredible. But Music Connection named me number 2 among the top 25 new original artists of the year at that point. And all these things started coming together, that started blowing up my phone with people in the industry, management, et cetera, just, interested in, what I'm looking to do with my career. And fortunately for me, I had just gotten married to my best friend. She supports me to the ends of the earth. So we agreed. We were like, hey, let's, we really can't do the music thing properly in Pennsylvania. There's like no original music culture there. It's like, unless you're an 80s like hair cover band or a tribute band, no one really cares. And so, it's like, hey, let's move out to LA and give this a real shot. So that was, and I've been here ever since. So within the first like year and a half, 2 years of being out here, and I was just focusing entirely on being an artist, performing, getting myself out there, doing industry showcases. I did end up getting 2 label offers that were, really that could be very career changing should I have chosen to accept them. But this was uniquely around the time that you had a bunch of major artists, like you had Prince, you had 30 Seconds to Mars doing their documentary with all the, millions of dollars that their label was trying to juke them out of and take their rights away and all this. And like I was saying, you had Prince just warning these new artists against these contracts. And when I got the contracts myself, I was like really disillusioned, to be honest. It was really frustrating. You put in all this work as an artist to get that signing deal, and like that gives you the resources and the team and everything that you want to really just take it to the next level. And just seeing those contracts was like, wow, like they're right. I mean, this is bad, and it's so bad that I just don't want to do it. Like I wouldn't enjoy it. So that's where I just kind of reassessed everything and was like, okay, on one hand, I've been running like a boutique marketing firm with my wife. She's an incredible graphic designer, web developer. So, managing the business end of that has been fun. I was working on minoring in business back at Penn State. So like, I don't mind the business side of things. And so I was like, okay, how realistic is this to just kind of go at this independently and build my own team? And that really pretty quickly evolved into us just dissecting like, what is it that major labels are doing for the artist? So if you really boil that down, it's kind of just two things. You have recording and production of the product, the music, and then on the other hand, you have the marketing of it. And it's really, getting the music produced and finding a great producer, which isn't going to be cheap, but great producer, great studio, whatever you need. Like that's kind of more realistic these days to go and find that on your own without needing some label to provide that for you. However, it really is the marketing end that like is kind of purposefully obfuscated and kept a bit of a backdoor mystery. Like, what is the secret sauce that the majors use to blow up a Katy Perry or an Ed Sheeran? And that's where we found that really, the old days are kind of over, where all of the marketing personnel from PR to sync licensing, radio, everything was like, it was exclusive employees in-house, like at Warner Brothers or at Universal in the office. And now it's really because of the internet and all of this general decentralization. A lot of this has been split up and segregated out. So even the majors are calling out to separate PR firms and just different entities to do all of these things that they need for their biggest artists, even their developing artists. So we took the same approach and realized, hey, there's a lot of people out there that are providing these services at a high level for the majors. And really 9 out of 10 of the ones that we would talk to completely agree with the state of the industry. Of course, the majors are putting food on their team's table, so they're going to keep working for them, but they love what we're doing, and not only offer their services to us, but they offer them to us generally at a pretty nice discount because they know we're not, Sony. So, and they want to help, spark that shift in the industry. So it's been really cool, I have to say, just as an artist and having that background, having been through it, does really resonate with everybody that we talk to in terms of artists that want to work with us, because they know I'm not just some suit that is trying to just like take their money or push them into something they don't want to do. They see that hey, I've been through it, and I see the avenues to change it and help fix it, and let's all do it together as a big family. So that's my specific background, and then we have Harry here, of course. He's our director of technology, Dr. Harry Malinsky. He is really our authority on all things Web3, NFTs. He comes from a very unique background. Actually used to be a veterinarian, this guy, and he's highly skilled with crypto. He's been in the space for many years, does a lot of live streaming, where he'll trade in real time. It's like an educational thing for people that tune in. They can see how he's trading. They can even copy his trades if they want. It's all live in real time. And I think it was just over 250,000 that Harry successfully traded in profit live on stream. And then Harry's also, he used to run or manage the assets, over 10 million in assets for a private security firm. So really cool background. And just ever since Harry's come on the team, it's really transformed things for the better. And we're just super grateful for all of these extra things that we can do. So Harry, I'll turn it over to you.
Thank you for the awesome introduction. I hope I can live up to the hype here. Yeah, my name is Harry. I started at Texas A&M, where I always wanted to be a veterinarian. My father Beforehand, actually was in charge of a security firm then, so I did private security on the side while I was in college, but overall wanted to be a doctor. My dad ended in programming, so as I got older, less of the private security and more of the tinkering and 3D printing and just the tech side was just always on my mind. So after he passed in 2018, I decided I wanted to dig further into that. He always said, if you want to do something, you got to go 100%. Well, during COVID, business struggled, as did for everybody. So as a veterinary surgeon, I was unable to do as many surgeries as I did before. And of course, I was accustomed to a certain lifestyle at the time, right? So, things had to change. So I changed my lifestyle back down to lower, went back into studying during COVID because I had then torn my knee, so I couldn't even walk for about 6 months. So it was just like, I can make the worst of this or the best of this. So during this time, I started the YouTube channel. I started trading crypto more than just stocks. When I became a veterinarian, the capital went from, ramen to lobster really, really fast. So now I'm like, what do I do with this extra money? So I don't need to live that crazy. So we started investing and, all of that led up to where we are now. And right now, the blockchain and crypto is still in its infancy. And, a lot of people ask me, is crypto, did I miss it? Well, I thought I missed it in 2013. And then I thought I missed it again in 2017. And now people are saying, damn, I missed it in 2021. Well, actually, no, you didn't. It'll probably be back in around 2025, according to the previous cycles or whatever, Messiah you want to get your technical knowledge from to trade crypto. In the end, it's upwards and to the right. And the reason why is it's a technological advancement of us and human beings as a society as a whole. We went from a currency that we just made up in gold to where now we have a public ledger that is visual across the globe and cannot be manipulated without great resources. And at that point, not worth it. So we are taking this huge step and jump. And, just overall, this emphasis on decentralization and blockchain can be pushed over to the artist side. And we can develop brands on top of this. And I saw one of the questions was, what other revenue opportunities does your company guide artists? So many more. And that's like one of the biggest things we're excited to talk about, is because not only can you think of just about an NFT, and I know some people do or don't know what NFTs are. If you don't know what an NFT is, please message me afterwards. I will be more than happy to explain and go deep in. But, some artists think it's just a picture of them and that's it. It can go so much further. We have one artist doing evolving tickets. So the more events you go to, you have a ticket that evolves with you. You can actually monetize the songs, the albums, everything else can be bought and purchased off. There may be potential in the future with the SEC as far as rights and sharing, as since it would be a percentage and considered a security, but as of right now, it's considered IP. So IP does not fall under that same SEC or CFTC type of guidelines. So that's one avenue there. And then moving on forward, you can take it to the metaverse. We can build your product into a digital world, and then you can have your own digital store. And it just goes leaps and bounds further on what we can do as far as developing it. So what we have to focus on now is this is the new space. This is the wild, wild west of crypto. Most people who think of crypto think of it as this is for drugs, this is for the dark web, this is for people laundering money. Nothing good could come out of it, but it's actually the opposite. More money is laundered with traditional fiat currency than with crypto. It's a fact. It's been around longer. Maybe if you gave blockchain a little bit more time, it might catch up. But as of right now, more money's been laundered with the US dollar than with crypto. So the biggest thing is just educating the artist on that this is an avenue that you can explore if it is what you want. But at this point, just like Tyler was saying earlier, they don't want some suit to walk in there. And I guess I've kind of fit the bill. I never was the average veterinarian. I have a full sleeve. I don't like wearing scrubs. I used to just wear a black t-shirt. I got in trouble all the time. Nobody liked that. The only time I wore proper attire was surgery, right? Other than that, I'm just the guy here to help you with your pet, and we're doing this together, right? I never really liked that separation, like I'm some special being because I'm a doctor. No, we're doing this together, and we want to just transfer that same mentality over here to the artist. We have access to the best people who can do it. I might not be good at producing, but I'm good at finding the people who can. So if we find and put all the people together, it's just absolutely amazing what we can do. And this Web3 is just opening the doors to so much more.
Well, you guys are incredible. That's why I wanted to highlight the team. I know you have several more members, but I did see a couple questions come in, about, how does the company make money and revenue? But I think this is an interesting one because people, before we ask that, people, understand music, right? Like it's the universal language globally, that we can all understand each other. How big of an opportunity does PennyFly Entertainment have? Like, how big is the marketplace in the space you're in? And then we'll get to a couple of the revenue questions.
Yeah. Actually, I got some interesting stats here. For anyone who's checked out the offering page, should be able to see that. I mean, it's massive. The music industry revenue poised to exceed 132 billion by 2030, which is via Goldman Sachs. Independent labels are also continually year over year growing to build out more of that revenue share, taking more and more from the major labels and minimizing kind of their exposure, I guess, if you will, to the whole artist market. And then the figure there, I believe, that's right. We're currently at 34.5% of the industry is claimed by the independent side. Let's put it that way. And that's a 23 billion plus market. And even in 2020, independent labels and artists were really overperforming, collectively growing. I have 27% and increasing their combined streaming market share to 31.5%. And really, this is where they're finalizing the IFPI and media research, everything kind of from COVID just last year. Because actually, what's ironic is on one, it's kind of helped and harmed two different sides of the music industry, because obviously touring wasn't possible, and that kind of just couldn't really happen during all of this. But with so many people at home and just like less to do, I guess, and just the fact you even working from home, it's much easier to just throw on Spotify, just listen to music. So there's just a lot more music listening happening because of COVID. There was a big uptick there. So I think that's really interesting to see. But what's also impressive, I have to kind of tip my hat to the majors, their ability to adapt in COVID. They really just kind of took a lot of the touring money that would have otherwise been spent there and just went hard with clever digital marketing. And I would have done the same thing given their resources. I mean, that's definitely the move. They somehow, I think it was Sony and Universal actually still managed to make more money than the previous year with touring, which even surprised me. I think Warner Brothers didn't quite do that. It was one of the three majors that fell a little short, but still, like, I was impressed that they pulled that off. But it just goes to show, like, even in a pandemic, music is going to thrive. I mean, it's all, you can almost make the argument that, like, the worse the world gets, the more people are going to find comfort in music and just general entertainment to take their mind off of it and to just kind of enjoy something that makes them feel better. So I think that's important. It's something that's kind of resistant to all of this in some way. So I hope that answers your question.
No, it absolutely does. And I find it fascinating. I'll speak for myself, right? Like, during the early days, mid-pandemic, and now, music can be a tool for so much. But I think when you're looking for hope, inspiration, motivation, right, it's a great pathway and gateway to get there. And I find those numbers to be fascinating. And so we've had a couple folks ask, and we personally, when I do these webinars, I always like to lead with the team, right? Because I think when you make an investment, you should understand the people, and you can read it off the page and things like that. But the ultimate question is, how does PennyFly make money? What are the revenue opportunities? And I know both you and Tyler Harry alluded to it a little bit, that there, revenue can come in from many different places. So if you guys could take it from there and just talking about just the business model and how PennyFly Entertainment makes money.
Yeah, absolutely. So, we don't really fit like a subscription-based model or anything like that. Really, what we do isn't too different from what has made the majors so successful. We're not exactly trying to reinvent the wheel here. We're really just focused more on deferring the rights, revenues, and freedoms back to the artists in a better fashion. And there's still more than enough revenue to go around across the board with this model. And like I mentioned, major aspect here is our label services model. So there's a different percentage or fee depending on what the artist is looking to do. We honestly don't have any two artists that are under the exact same terms or agreement, because we really look at every artist as their own career, their own venture, their own project. Even each album release for the same artist could require different treatments, depending on where they're at in their career, how much development may be needed, what they already have going on, what genre of music is it, because even that requires different professionals. If you have a rock artist, there's kind of a bit of an old boys network of like rock promoters, and you need to tap into that if you want to get that exposure on the rock charts. So even down to the genre is specific on what kind of team is going to be best for the artist. So a lot through the label services model. And then, obviously the web and NFT element, or Web3 and NFT element, we've been getting hired to advise senior teams and of various projects. We'll get into that a little more. And then just, the general signed artist revenues, some of the artists that we do have a percentage of revenue share from, there's that element as well. But yeah, the label for hire thing really has been great for us, because that's kind of filling one of the biggest voids. It's so difficult for artists to find, how do I build out my team and get these different things that I need, because no artist can do it all themselves. It's really just impossible, and it stresses you out, and it impacts how well your music's going to come out. Because if you're worried about too much of the business stuff, it's it's gonna impact your mindset. So but yeah, just even on the label for hire side, that includes production of the music. There's mixing and mastering, which are imperative to really make it come out sounding like it's like truly like universal music quality kind of thing. Sync licensing, artist representation management, career development. So it really goes through a lot on the revenue, or the signed revenue side. You're looking at percentages from merchandise, which is a big one. There's streaming, and for more successful artists that actually can bring in some decent money. There's touring, just general sales and sponsorships. So yeah, lots of different avenues there. And then we'll get into some exciting news coming up here when we get into some of these projects, and that'll give you some more insight on other revenue streams. But we have some really cool stuff to share here soon about another revenue stream with a big project. So we'll get to that maybe in the next question.
No, absolutely. And just as a reminder to everyone tuning in and those who'll be listening to the recorded version, PennyFly Entertainment is actively raising right now on Netcapital. You can visit netcapital.com to learn more about this exciting company. And so with that, Tyler and Harry, talking about how it makes money, but COVID, and you alluded to it, was such an interesting time for the industry. But PennyFly Entertainment was able to make significant progress last year, and then has continued into this year. So I want to break it up into two parts. The first question is, can you talk about the progress in 2021 that PennyFly Entertainment was able to make?
Yeah, I really, I can't emphasize enough. And I'd really, pinpoint the largest element of progress being due to us really getting involved and immersed on the Web3 NFT side. It's just unlocking new revenue streams, new relationships. There's a lot of high net worth people in that space that are really excited about how early everyone is. And it's like, when you look at what, if I could boil down an NFT in the simplest form for like an artist use and why it's interesting, even in like a crowdfunding capacity. So if an artist puts up, let's say 10 NFTs that represents their new release, or maybe it has some utility, maybe it's a membership token, and just by owning one, you get all these, little extra things like a meet and greet with them over Zoom. You get monthly discounts on merch, the free tickets. There's so many things you can do with that. So just by the person owning it. Now, when I say like almost as a crowdfunding or an investment tool, so if the artist puts out 10 NFTs, we'll say membership tokens, I look at that artist and I think I like what they're doing. Do I like what they're doing enough that I feel that it's realistic that in a couple years their career is going to be significantly further, however much? Because you're basically taking the bet that if I buy this NFT, will I be able to sell this in a couple years for more because I invested in this artist early, and then when the artist, continues to grow their career and their audience, the people who bought those first NFTs now have a unique opportunity to flip it for a profit. So everybody wins in that situation. The artist wins because people bought their tokens in the first place, and that provides a level of investment. And some of these NFTs can be sold for a lot, depending on who the artist is and what their audience looks like. But so the artist gets funds to work with to keep creating. And then in the future, the person who bought that token, if they so please, they can sell it for their own profit, so they win. And then somebody else who bought the token now gets that VIP membership that you could only get from the secondary market. So now they feel that they're a winner because they're in the club with, the exclusive VIP club with the artist. And then on that secondary sale, the artist wins again because they get a percentage kickback that's hard coded into the smart contract of the NFT. So it really is interesting, and that's just like one use of NFTs. Yeah.
Currently developing a couple contracts right now for some artists that will already be everything ready to go for them, and they just apply it. All the revenue share, everything is already coded in, so they don't have to do anything. It's promised that they're going to get exactly what they agreed upon, and we're promised. And this trustless agreement is what makes this Web3 stuff just absolutely great. And decentralization, we don't have to trust that Twitter's not going to take my account down because I said something that they didn't agree with, right? Maybe until Papa Elon takes over or whatever the case is. But like we don't have to worry about that as much with decentralization. The caveat with that though is there's a lot of risk, right? You're in charge of everything, and this is why we focus so much on the education. And a lot of what I'm doing is helping with our team and teaching other people who we're making NFT projects for. I don't want to spoil too much before we get to that question, but trying to educate everybody so that way they get like, hey, this is new and this is what you need to know, and then these are the resources that are safe, and that's including I'm not going to ask for certain information, and just making sure they're prepared for what's ahead, because the amount of money that can come in, it can be absolutely crazy, and a percentage, 1% of 100 million is a lot of zeros still.
Absolutely. Yeah. So thanks, Harry. Just to kind of, I'll elaborate more here on just general progress, kind of what we're looking at. Right now, we're working with 17 different artists in different capacities, different deal structures. Actually, right now, I'm at my friend Gabby Hanna's place. I've been house sitting for her while she's in Coachella. We've been helping put a team together for her, actually. And then, a lot of cool projects just across the board. One of our celebrity backed projects is actually a charity effort called Rock Against Trafficking. There's a finished album there that is just reimagined Sting and Police covers by Slash, Fergie, Journey, Santana, Heart, Rob Thomas, and Vogue. A lot of really cool rock acts there. So there's that. There's on the web NFT side, Web3 side. One of our best kind of case studies here that we're really proud of. So this is also our first foray into kind of the video game side of the entertainment industry. So we linked up with a project called Dash League. So this is an NFT backed MMORPG style game, multiplayer online role playing game. So really on a shoestring budget, we were engaged to market this project, and we're thrilled to say that our efforts resulted in the project's pre-sale selling out in just a few months, like starting from nothing, no awareness, new brand. And that resulted in over 200 Ethereum worth of characters sold. And that was over $600,000 based on the Ethereum value at the time while this was happening. This is all verifiable on OpenSea. This is on the offering page as well. You could just Google Dash League NFT and that should come up too. And then ESTN, that's another exciting project. I'll let you dive into that one, Harry.
Might be muted there. Let me get that. Yeah, so ESTN is one of the projects where they actually contacted us to see about insisting. They have a very, very adequate senior level team. However, there was kind of a disconnect on them in the gaming side. They were not as far as we were, as big into the gaming aspect. So they were more wanting to see how we could help them isolate the large market that they already have. They already have a market of 30, 40,000 plus individuals. Their Discord was already there, but they were lacking in some of the other social media areas that we were highly successful in, specifically Twitter, where I have a large following on. And we also have a lot of, I guess, friends and colleagues that we've met over the years now who have even bigger followings, from million plus. So we've been helping and advising with them to help grow before their large launch, where they have, I think, $1 million giveaway of their vault boxes. Because when it comes to NFTs, you can be on the one side where you own an NFT and you're the artist. But what if you want to do the opposite? What if you want to watch people play and you want to, say, own a seat in the stadium? Well, they kind of turned that aspect in this whole metaverse thing. And I mean, they've really revolutionized the esports industry. They've made this huge blockchain powered platform. This has real gamers are involved, NFT seat owners, and, you get to watch and make money at the same time. So they have a wonderful product. And, we were very, fortunate that we could help assist them. And we're still in the process now. And here in the next 2 to 3 weeks, we'll be hopefully getting them onto their next step of marketing.
Appreciate you guys sharing that. And Tyler, I'll start with you on this one. Through this year and into Q1 next year, what are you most excited about for PennyFly Entertainment? And then Harry, I'll punt it to you.
That is perfectly timed, that question right there. So we have some really exciting news, actually. Just this morning, we inked our deal with OneFluent. They are one of the world's leading influencer agencies. They have over 200 influencers directly signed to them. Their average following of these influencers is anywhere from 1 million on the small side to over 15 million plus. And that's per influencer. So they have just absolutely incredible reach. They're getting calls from Nike and all sorts of brands all the time, getting their influencers to promote some big things for big companies. So I got to say, this has been 4 months in the works negotiating this, and legal's all finally finished. Literally just this morning we signed it. And so what this is an NFT project. So they're engaging us to put all of it together, everything between the marketing, the development, and as Harry was kind of alluding to earlier, our team's going to be training all of their influencers on NFTs and how this project works, so they understand what it is that they're getting involved in and putting out there. But yeah, Harry, I'll let you take it away with how exciting this is and kind of what the project looks like.
Yeah, it's absolutely amazing. And you said, the whole reason we have to make sure legal is always done is, it's not only protects us, it protects them. And, on a project this scale, we have to make sure, all the I's are dotted and T's are crossed. And so basically what we're doing now is with their influencers, of course, not all of them are going to know about crypto or be interested whatsoever. And the problem with that is they're getting tons of offers on promoting these things. They're getting huge amounts, 6 figures to be like, hey, all I want you to do is mention this in a video and tweet about it a couple times. And, that's pretty tempting if you have a big following, but these guys know that and they prey on it because they know that they'll make tenfold that off of one influencer's mistake just from promoting it. So this next step is kind of, to help beat the scammers. We're helping educate a lot of their crypto-based influencers on a new project that we're building, designed basically just for them. And the first part of it is going to be just, similar to what we do a lot of other projects is we're going to basically build the community from the ground up. We're not going to just try to prey off of, we want just random people to buy it. No, we want people who are actually involved, who want to use this product for the influencer that they like or appreciate. So, because, this community is, if you got a Bored Ape or whatever, you're part of the Bored Apes. This is one of the most expensive NFTs right now. Same with the crypto punks. So our goal is to actually build one that's bigger than all of those, higher than anything that these guys have seen. And we have a reach that's bigger. Currently, all of the crypto NFT profile pic projects are lacking in utility and lacking on a project because they initially started as just a picture. So if you have to take something that's broken and build on it, you have a lot of band-aids and sticks and tape and stuff holding it together to get this finished product. And then in the end, you'd have to tear it all down and build something better from the ground up. So we're taking proven model and we're going to build it from the ground up, designed around the influencers. And instead of them just shilling it, they're going to understand it from start to finish. They're going to understand how to set up the wallets. They're not going to use my tutorial videos. They'll be able to make their own. They're going to fully understand this, because as we progress, technologically into the future, there's eventually going to come a point where fiat currency is not going to be around. And whether it's Bitcoin or some other crypto, something will take over it, right? It wasn't always gold, so at some point it was just rocks and pebbles and shiny things. So whatever we progress to from here on out, we have to make sure that they're educated. So the project that we're working on now, we have the reach. We, already have, I think over 20% of it in trust, as far as like for the funding of that project in partnership with them. And over here the next 2 weeks, you'll get to see, lots of little things get leaked out, not only from our Twitter, my Twitter, but the OneFluent side as well. So, our plan is to, the biggest project you've seen yet, make it bigger. And we're going to do that.
Yeah. And it's so exciting because like we're, really, I know you kind of touched on this, Harry, but we're very tuned into kind of what the NFT and Web3 communities are looking for. But also generally what we've just really monitored what other projects are doing, what's working, what's not. And just in terms of general, like just marketing reach, that's really been lacking for most of these projects. And they still, if you are niche marketing to the right areas, you will attract some high net worth individuals that really, will like what you're doing. So there's always that, but we haven't really seen any NFT projects that have the absolute sheer shotgun marketing ability that we essentially will have through this partnership with OneFluent. I mean, having there's really upward of 1,000 influencers in their immediate network, so it's 200 signed to them. But like that alone is massive. I mean, having that many influencers with millions in followings, all supporting the same NFT project, changing their profile pictures. I mean, that's going to have a big effect. And we really haven't seen any project with that big of a push in terms of influencer marketing, which, as we know, is constantly trending as, among the most effective marketing that can be done for many brands out there. So really, really excited to just get this going.
Going to be an exciting year, and it sounds like it already has been. And happy Monday, gentlemen.
Absolutely.
Congratulations on the contract.
Thank you.
Everything going through this morning. It's absolutely fantastic. And personally, I'm looking forward to continue to watching the progress, because it sounds like things, not that they hadn't come together, but it's on a trajectory now to really expose. So really looking forward to watching you guys and how the execution goes and
appreciate it, man.
Beyond. So we have a couple more minutes for a few questions here. A couple that have come in, talking about exits. Obviously with this being a unique business, you guys having so many different areas that are coming in, you're in a space that's constantly evolving, and it's really in its infancies, right? Like with the crypto, the NFTs, things like that. Talk about potential exits for investors.
Yeah, so really there's two options here. Either a recapitalization on one hand, or just kind of a standard straight up exit. We definitely, of course, look to have a dialogue with our investors to determine, the best win-win for everybody. There's reasons why we definitely consider staying in business as well, and just buying back investor positions, because as we grow and continue to prove that we can deliver on artist release campaigns, et cetera, at the same level as the majors, while letting the artists keep much more of their money. I mean, that's going to get out, in terms of just industry buzz. It's going to start to attract larger and larger artists. And, who's to say that after a certain level of progress with PennyFly, who's to say that when, Ed Sheeran's contract is up, just making just an obvious, just extreme example, but, to have some major label artists that their contract's up and they don't want to go through that again. Obviously, they have a little more leverage, with their success, but still, why would they not consider coming with somebody, joining up with us? because if we're able to offer all of the same things that they're getting in their existing agreement, but we're allowing them a lot more freedom, a lot more rights, revenues, then, why wouldn't they consider it? And, then that kind of brings us to a point of how many like Drakes does it take to where we would want to continue to operate, to continue working with A-list artists, because having a revenue stake in the masters is really significant long term. I mean, like people are still streaming Eminem's music that he wrote 15 years ago, and he's still one of the top streamers. So, but should we not buy back investor positions because we want to stay in business, and instead we're just looking to exit? That in that scenario, honestly, our path to exit as an independent label is in many ways really a lot easier than a traditional tech company. And the reason is because major labels really, really want to flex and maintain their industry dominance. They have a continued habit of buying out other labels, even moderately successful ones. They just kind of scoop them up under their umbrella. That's why so many independent labels that you'll see out there, if you're just researching around what different artists are signed on, you'll see that, it's like some indie label, but then it's owned by Warner. And so really it's like in the same construct of deal structure. So, based on where we're at now, we would expect that scenario to happen anywhere, within the next 3 to 5 years. I can't say an exact like expected return, but like just some quick related exits and valuations. Parlophone Records in 2013, for example, they were acquired by Warner at $765 million. Artery Recordings, which is a California rock label, in 2017, they were acquired by Warner. We have 10% of Universal Music Group being acquired for $3 billion by Tencent, and that just happened January 2020. And that was, obviously COVID was just kind of kicking off there too. And Spinnin' Records 2017, they were acquired by Warner for $100 million. Lots of different examples like that. It's all over. And Tencent actually doubled their position in Universal Music Group in December of 2020. So I mean, if Tencent, as big as they are with their holdings, they're showing clearly a lot of long-term faith in the industry. We feel that our intersection of technology and music makes us especially attractive for acquisition if we do continue at our current pace, which is only just increasing right now. So
really appreciate you walking us through that, Tyler. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Time for one more question. I apologize that we're not going to be able to get to them all, but the good news is that built into the PennyFly Netcapital offering page, there's a discussion board. So any questions that you have for Tyler or Harry, or just questions in general about PennyFly Entertainment, feel free to drop them a line. That's what this discussion board's for. But the last question that's come in from quite a few people, it's obviously a competitive space, but what really differentiates PennyFly Entertainment from the competitors? You explained the major piece, but also, being an independent label. Dive in further, please.
So just to clarify, like what really, what kind of makes us different than the majors, or is that what you're?
No, just so you explained the differentiator between like you and the majors, right? But another entertainment company in the same space. Team, obviously your knowledge, things like that you spoke about, but if you could tell us within 2 minutes, what's the special sauce of PennyFly Entertainment? What really differentiates
I gotcha.
from the other players in your space?
I can't really emphasize enough, the importance of cultivating the right team, and it's so relationship based, and it like I said, it was not overnight. It's taken years, and it's an ongoing thing. It's just created this spider web network of people that then call their other professionals they've worked with and bring them in. So it's not something you can just kind of decide to do on a whim and say, yeah, let's make a record label. There's so much that's required on the relationship end. The other element here is, again, back to the label services model. Really, no one's doing this in the industry. So, I mean, like there's room for more PennyFly entertainments. This is so different and not really, not enough people are doing it at all. And there's a lot of artists out there. There's a lot of industries that needs fixed. So, just because we're kind of blazing the trail a bit, there's room for other companies to do what we're doing. But, we'll take them as well years to build up the right relationships. Ideally, I'd love to see, our efforts help really impact a long-term change in the industry to where maybe 5-10 years from now, we're seeing even the major labels start to split up and get more decentralized, because it's just going to be the only way for them to continue generating the revenue that they want to, because there's enough alternatives out there and there's hardly any. So we're proud to be, among the first.
I think our Web3 capabilities highly set us apart from others. I mean, on staff, we have two coders that are, the full-time coding, done it 20 plus years experience combined. And then, all the way from graphic design and then to, senior level management for the team management. I mean, I think our team and what we can do with the Web3 side to open up and expand the opportunities of the artist is what actually sets us apart more than just, everything Tyler was saying. Cause, like I said, there's not even that many others to compare us to, but if you were to compare us to the majors, I think that one aspect there is something that they will start copying from us in the likes here soon.
Really appreciate you both diving into that. It's just fascinating what you're doing. It's admirable because the industry has been around so long, and PennyFly had taken this long, right, for PennyFly and Shaman to come in and offer these services. So I think it's great, gentlemen, and just really want to thank you for the work that you continue to do. And we love working with you here at Netcapital.
Thank you so much, man. Sorry not to cut you. I just wanted to add to piggyback on what you were saying about anyone that has questions that may not have the opportunity to ask or be answered, can throw that on the discussion board, as you pointed out. But also, since there's just a couple days here, I think 4 days left on the raise, if anybody really wants to have a dialogue with us, feel free to email me personally. We'll set up a team meeting. We can talk about it. My email is tyler@pennyflyentertainment.com.
Awesome. And Harry, you want to, you put yours in the chat link. Perfect.
Yeah, I'm going to put them both in for it.
Oh yeah. Good looks.
Really appreciate that, gentlemen. And while we're wrapping up here, I just want to thank everyone for tuning in. Tyler, thank you. Harry, thank you. As I mentioned, it's been an absolute pleasure to work with you both here at Netcapital, and look forward to speaking with you soon. Thank you, guys.
Likewise.
Thanks so much.
All right.
Y'all have a great day.